Good afternoon. This is Professor Groves, and during the week 2 homework assignment, students said they had problems with question number 10. And so I thought I would make a quick video and give you some tips on how to approach this problem. Now, here you have 40 randomly chosen CEOs, and these are the data values. So we know that n is equal to 40. And I'm not sure what version of Excel you have. So you're going to click into Excel and you could hopefully have an option to create a histogram. Now you notice that you have to choose which of these histograms is correct. So that kind of helps you out. So you know that, keep in mind, this is percent, okay? And here is compensation. So we have 40, and we have to figure out which one of these is correct. So what I would do is, if my Excel, which my Excel doesn't have a way to do histograms, I would sort my data from the lowest compensation to the highest compensation. And notice that we want to come up and get an idea of a histogram. We want a histogram here. And the histogram is going to be based on percentages. So the first thing you probably want to do, and if you notice by looking at the example, this is like at 20, this is at 40, etc. Now if we look at our data right here, okay, we can see that we can come up with breakpoints. So your bins, okay, is the range of values that you're going to get frequencies on. So in this case, I'm just going to sketch this, and I'm going to say from 0 to 10. Okay? And I can see that if I do 0 to 10, I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So my frequency count is 24. And then, okay, and then I have this huge number here. Now, this is going to be our total for our frequency is 40. So to calculate the percent, we're going to take 24 divided by 40. Okay, and 24 divided by 40. Okay, so that is 60%. And if you're looking at this, then you're saying to yourself, okay, if that's 60%, maybe they're doing it in groupings of 5. Okay, so if I did 0 to 5, let's see what our percent would be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 out of 40. Okay, and that gives us 35%. So in this first grouping, it's going to go to 5. And you can just kind of sketch yourself a graph in this case because the data is pretty dramatic if you look at it. So I'm just going to sketch this. This is going to be 10, 20, 30. This is at 40. Okay. So my first bar is 35% of the data. So my first bar is like that. And this is assuming that you can't figure out how to do the histogram in Excel. The next grouping, 14. So if there were 14 that were from 0 to 5, then from 6 to 10, okay, then there's going to be 10. 10 divided by 40 is equal to 25%. Okay, so this one didn't work for us. And the reason this is working in kind of sketching this is that we've sorted the data from low to high. So now the next graph is the next bar is at 25. Okay. And we're getting pretty close to what the appropriate answer has to be. So our first bar was at 5, so that's 35%. Our second bar is at 25%. So by process of elimination, okay, this one doesn't work because it's got to be up at 25. And this one doesn't work. Okay, so the correct answer for this one is that it's A. If you kept on going with these bins, you're going to be seeing that, okay, so in the next grouping of 5, okay, so if I go 10 to 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to give us 4. And then 15 to 20, and that's going to give us 4. And you can keep going, but 4 divided by 40, that's going to be 10%. 10%. Okay, and I think you got the hang of it. You have to figure out what the bin is that matches up with your graph. And we figured out that it's the best one based on this graph is these must be in groups of 5. So that's 5, that's 10, 15. Okay. So now we have answered the first question. We were able to sketch a histogram. And to do that, we need to get the frequency counts and then the percentages. So that answered part A. So we're happy we got part A done. Now part B, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Part B asks yourself the question, is it skewed, symmetric, or skewed to the right? All right. So a way that is nice to look at this is draw yourself a little graph here. And this is called skewed right. Okay, because you have an outlier here. So there's an outlier here so that it's skewed right. Okay, so just to review what skewness, if I have a graph that looks like this, okay, and it's got that bell shape, that's symmetric. And if I have a graph that looks like this, it's skewed left. And if I have a graph that looks like this, then that's skewed right. So then the next question they ask you is, so now we've got B. For me, it's skewed right. It says to identify any unusual values, and it tells you there are two. And what they're talking about here is outliers. So these two data points do not match with the rest of the data. And we can see that if we go back and look at our data, and if we look at these two high values, right, these are our outliers. And going back to our graph, okay, does that make sense? This point right here, what you're going to be putting in here is 66.08, but you always want to ask yourself, does that make sense? And so that's at about 66.08. And then over here, this point right here, right, is way to the right, and that does look like 192.92. So I hope that helps. And anytime you have questions, post them in the help discussion board, and I'll try to either send you some notes, which I've been posting in announcements, or I'll try to do some of these short videos. So again, for the last question, you look at the data in your table and you can pull those numbers directly off. Have a good day, and keep in mind that my recommendation for success in this class is do not fall behind. Start early, finish early. Because if you finish early, then if you have questions, you can ask me. And you can also go back to your assignment, homework assignment, redo these problems to get full credit. Have a good day.